Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, Explore Insights. I've been busy with my sister wedding for the last 1 month. So today I'm really excited because we have a really special guest speaker. We've been friends for 16 years, and then he been pursuing his study in three different states, and moreover, education degree. In the first 2 years, he's a brilliant student and his GPA reached to 3.94. And then right now, basically, he's already settled down working as a professional worker, as a technical writer. So please welcome Zyotty.
Hello,
Hey Jyoti, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I haven't seen you for a long time, eh?
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
So how are you doing there?
It's been okay, as good as coronavirus. With the coronavirus going on, it's as good as it's expected to be, I guess.
So how is the corona like case over there, if you don't mind I'm asking?
Right now, it's not doing super well. They've been breaking the single day numbers record so far. I
Mhm,
think in the last week or so.
mhm.
But other than that, I think there's just been some states that has been hit way harder than some others. Like in here in Virginia,
Yeah.
it's not too bad.
Oh, okay, that's good because like recently in Vancouver, the case is going like triple, and then today the new cases is around 500. Okay, let's get into the main point. So my first question, why you choose United States as your uh, destination for your study?
Um, Most parts I would say is just curiosity of
Mhm.
knowing how the outside world is
Yeah,
and maybe how like different cultures will approach certain ideas in a different way.
yeah.
All in all, it's just basically trying to find a new environment, see
Mhm.
where I could excel and stuff like that.
Mhm. Have you been previously been to US before?
Um, Before I started my study, I visited the United States for like one time
Mhm.
back in I think early 2000s, but
Yeah.
it was when I was a child.
So does childhood experience visiting US influence you to pursue like further education in the United States?
I would say so. And in most parts, just by visiting the US, you've become more aware of it, right? And then
Mhm.
with the mainstream media,
Yeah.
entertainment business and stuff like that, it's sometimes it's mostly US centric. So I guess it's always been in my mind
Yeah.
for some time. But yeah,
So
it definitely played a bit of parts in there.
so you're saying that you like the culture and all the US is more open and then in terms of the culture. But could you explain me a little bit about the US centric?
Like I would say like probably nowadays where you see like a blockbuster film or you hear like a hit music, there's a big chance that those are the product of a US company.
Mm-hmm.
And in most of them, like let's say like a more iconic movie like maybe Batman or something like that, or the Avengers where they show like New York City and stuff like that. I would say it's more accessible to more people in the world
Yeah.
to get a glimpse of the US entertainment than it is when compared to like the rest of the world.
Oh,
Sometimes maybe in Indonesia you could say it's either Indonesian, Chinese, or US entertainment. So yeah, I think everybody has been exposed to it in some way or another.
and then like when did you land it in US?
I got here, if you remember correctly, around August 2013. So it's been like 7 years.
And then did your expectation and what you saw in the field is the same?
I would say mostly on like on the surface stuff, yeah. Because again, connecting back to the earlier point,
Mhm.
it's just been US entertainment's like my own personal experience or expectation of it mostly just came from movies and stuff, like how they portray a lot
Yeah.
day-to-day stuff. But yeah, it's I would say yeah, mostly there's been differences, but yeah.
So you're saying that they portray their like real like lifestyle in US, right?
I would say the one in like movies and stuff are definitely like more of a idealistic view
Mm-hmm.
or more like a romanticized version of day-to-day life. Because in movies, you just see everybody succeeding and stuff like that, where if you work hard, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what happened, you'll get there,
Yeah.
or like the American dream. But the reality is never that good.
Mhm.
There's always going to be struggles and stuff.
And then like so talking about American Dream, did you agree that a person who proceed the education in US and then when they return, they will be like 100% succeed in the life?
I would not go as far as like 100%
Mhm.
that you will succeed if you study abroad,
Yeah.
but I feel like at least in the past in Indonesia, where if you have like a degree from abroad, you're
Mhm.
more sought after
Yeah.
in some certain companies
Mhm.
or like multinational companies. Yeah, I would say like if you're going for that, I think you definitely have like a leg up.
Mhm.
But in terms of like guarantee for success,
Yeah.
I think it depends on the people.
Okay.
It,
Mhm.
it just depends on like how much effort you put into,
Yeah.
and then like of course luck always play a part in it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think what matter the most is your luck and your employer. It's gonna be open your career ahead. And then like talking about the job market, is it uh did the major that you take and the job that you did right now for 2 3 years, is it kind of like aligned to your major?
So I studied mechanical engineering in college. Right now I'm working in RF safety,
Mm-hmm.
which if you would draw a point, I guess is closer to electrical engineering,
Mm-hmm.
but in parts it does connect to my study, not
Can
by
you
a whole lot, but yeah.
can you tell us like a little bit about what is like RF? Like yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. So I work as a technical writer in RF safety.
Mm-hmm.
We, we as a company will provide a service to usually carriers or like turf vendors
Yeah.
if they want to get a compliance report on a site.
Mm-hmm.
We mostly just deal with the electromagnetic emissions.
Yeah.
Like what we do is regulated by the FCC.
Mm-hmm.
FCC have set a certain guidelines on the safety of workers
Can I ask?
working near the antennas.
Sorry, can I ask what is the FCC?
The FCC is the Federal Communications Commission.
Oh, so
They
you're
deal with communication stuff, mostly like internet. Like I think you've probably heard of like net neutrality that falls in the compass of FCC.
okay. So you're
But
working
they'll
with the federal communication, is that right?
yeah, we mostly deal with them to just get the compliance because FCC sometimes will conduct a random check or random visit.
Yeah.
And if the carrier sites are not compliant based on like FCC's rules,
Yeah.
they'll get fined.
Okay. So correctly, if I'm wrong, because when I'm thinking about the federal, it's related to the U.S. government.
Um, FCC is a government body. They
Yeah.
regulate
Mm-hmm.
uh, communication stuff,
Yeah.
internet, radio service,
Mhm.
mobile service, and stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a government body.
You've been working there for 2 3 years, right?
Yeah, it's been almost 3 years.
Can you tell us more about the your experience? Maybe start from the best experience first.
I would say because our business depends on mobile carriers,
Mm-hmm.
and like in here, at least here in the US, there's usually busy and less busy seasons. When
Mhm.
it's warmer outside, most of the country will try to go uh, accelerate their what's called constructions.
Mhm.
So mobile carriers like to do their modifications or upgrades to their antenna sites during like warmer months.
Mhm.
So I would say sometimes it's just during like warmer months where it's busy, the
Yeah.
expectation has just been way higher than
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
we are capable of.
Mhm.
Other than that, I would say because sometimes if you're working for a company under like a venture capitalist,
Yeah.
they're a bit more number focused.
Yeah.
So like they want to make the books. At least the economic side of it looks a lot better, where they have high revenue and low cost of uh, business.
Yeah.
But in this case, like in this, at least in my field, sometimes the way they're cutting into costs could be putting more pressure into the workers.
I know in North America they value the workers' effort by hour. So you mentioned like in the summertime it's get busy, so which means that you gonna got paid more. Is that right?
Uh, Depends on.
How about in your case though?
Right now, I get paid hourly. I
Mm-hmm.
still work full time during like the busy and unbusy parts of the year. But since like we have more revenue target and management targets,
Yeah.
I'll be mostly working longer during summer hours.
Okay. Which means that you got paid overtime, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. That's good because like uh, some of our audience is in Asia, and then the pay scale is kind of different. In Asia, it's like monthly, and in North American style, it's more by hourly, and then they got paid every like bi-weekly, which is 2 weeks. So, can I ask about your work environment? Because like if I see the technical writer, I'm assuming it's more like the very like busy work environment, and then it might be like little tense. Mhm.
Um, so far from my experience, since some of our fellow technical writers are working remotely,
Mhm.
there's only like a handful of them at the center office. It's been easier during like, as I said, warmer months. Usually we'll have some temps,
Mhm.
uh, but other than that, it's been pretty chill.
Uh,
Um, you're still expected to hit your numbers and stuff like that, but as long as you're doing your job, nobody cares how you do it.
I mean, like in terms of the like colleague, because like I'm not sure about US, but like in Canada, like between colleague, they're kind of like open and close to each other, even like during the break time. Can you explain a little bit like about your office situation, like office
Yeah,
setting? Mhm.
yeah. I guess I could give my 2 cents into it. Um, I would say it kind of depends on the culture.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like in the US, most of people will just adopt the idea that if you're doing your personal stuff, nobody will bother you for it.
Yeah.
People are not that nosy here. But sometimes I mean, like, again, personally, in the office, I'm more close to some people than others.
Yeah.
With those people, I'll just,
Mhm.
it's like I talk to them every day. But
Yeah.
with some of them, I don't really talk too much to them since we're on like different divisions and stuff. But yeah, I feel like in the US, if you don't make the effort
Mhm.
to open up,
Yeah.
sometimes it will be harder to connect to other people because sometimes people just get stuck in their own stuff.
So the main point, I think, it's like as long as we want to open up, they willing to like know more about us too, right?
Yeah, I would say yeah. I will consider most people
Yeah.
will
Mhm.
be willing to do some social interactions
Especially
and
the
just open up and know to know.
especially the upper management level, like they're they have a willingness to know more about their employee too, right? So I think, correct me if I'm wrong. So the distance between the upper and the middle, it's more open, right?
Um, in a general sense, yeah, sure,
Mhm.
yeah. I
Okay.
feel like they're less rigid compared to what I perceive from Indonesians.
Yeah.
Sometimes in like a official matter, people are just more down to connect with other people,
Example,
regardless of your job titles and stuff.
just like uh, to clarify, like most of the office setting in Asia, like the distance between the middle management or upper management is like kind of like really high, and on the other hand, in the US, it's more like open. If you can done something like differently in terms of your what you took in your college uh, major, what would you done differently?
Oh, if I stay within my major, I would say probably take a bit more of a design class
Mhm.
or like uh, some programming. But if I'm but to do like to redo my whole
Yeah,
bachelor education, I would probably maybe take a deeper look into other
yeah,
majors such as like maybe industrial engineering or supply chain. I
yeah.
feel like those are pretty good career options.
But I thought like right now you're already working close with the government, so I'm assuming it's already like a really stable job. Mhm.
No, we don't actually work with the government. Uh, we do government regulated
Yeah.
matters.
Mhm.
Like each carrier will have to comply to those guidelines set by the FCC. If
Yeah.
not, they could uh, they could get their license revoked,
Okay.
or maybe their permit is not granted.
Very good.
But yeah, I mean, like it's pretty stable since
Yeah.
carriers still needs to do it for every new site or every new upgrades they do. And
So you are
these
saying,
days with the 5G,
yeah,
they've been putting a lot of work into doing those.
because like we've been discussing with, like this topic even like before, right? And then yeah, like 5G is like the next trend, right? So you are saying that the major that you take right now is the opportunity, it's more like narrow, right? Is that?
I wouldn't say it's narrow. I feel like as a mechanical engineer, you could probably branch out to quite a bit of fields.
Yeah.
It's just that it's if I if I were to take another like a different major back then, it would just open up different doors.
Okay.
Not essentially more or less, but just different doors.
Okay. And then you were saying as well before about the product design, and then how could you done differently with that major?
I feel like with product design, you could probably do quite a bit more stuff in terms of like goods or
Yeah.
like trying to figure out maybe if you want to do a business.
Yeah.
I feel like you could be bringing new or niche products
Mhm.
or at least know how to do it. So
Yeah.
even if you go work for other companies or like other people's companies, you
Yeah.
are still bringing values that you
Okay.
could take like the ideas from like let's say the inventors
Yeah.
and make it easily visualized, or you could
Yeah.
make a model out of it.
I think I totally agree because like most of the big tech company like Apple or Microsoft, especially like the Silicon Valley area, it's like basically they're really good at branding the product, right? Even though they're like outsource the material.
Yeah, I would say sometimes these, I think like Apple at least still do a lot of their in-house designs. They just contract out the constructions. But yeah, I would say I don't know much about Silicon Valley, but
Yeah.
I'll say you could probably find a job there.
Mhm. And then because like I know you are in the US for the international students, like they're not allowed to stay like 3 years after graduation.
As international students, you come in the US
Yeah.
as an F1 visa holder,
Mhm.
which means you're here to just to study.
Yeah.
It doesn't really allow you to work
Mm-hmm.
per se,
Yeah.
but while you're in study, you could mostly work in campus.
Mm-hmm.
But after you graduate, they have this program called optional practical training,
Mm-hmm.
where most, like all people graduating from the United States college,
Mm-hmm.
you'll you'll get a year of work permit if you could find unemployment within the allocated time slot. After that, if you're in like this STEM major, you could apply uh, to 2 more years of work permit if your company meets certain criteria.
Assuming with the Corona crisis, like the job opportunities become more tighter, right?
Yeah, I would say there's
Mhm.
less jobs available, less companies or fewer companies are looking for new employees.
And how is the regulation in terms of employer employing the international students?
So most of the stuff again, OPT or like the 2 year extension,
Mhm.
uh, you're only allowed to work within your major. And then if the company wants to, they could sponsor you to getting a work visa.
You're saying there's two choices, a lottery draw or like you're sponsored by the employee, right?
Oh no, those are the same thing.
Oh, same thing.
So, but yeah, by company sponsoring you, they're putting your name into the lottery.
So even if you're working really well in the company, it will jeopardize your working permit too.
Um, jeopardize, maybe not jeopardize, but I would say like your it's not a certainty
Yeah.
you'll be getting that work visa.
What's the worst thing then that happened? Of the our audience, it's the international students or they're about to go to US because I know until now, the US market education, like North America especially, it's like the first destination. So this question might be beneficial for the audience too. Even if you work well with your employer and your employer like your performance, then you still have to draw, right? So what's the
Yeah,
worst will happen if you don't have it?
then you just couldn't stay or and work in the US anymore. Your options are limited. Like even if you get like a work visa,
Yeah.
that work visa is only valid as long as you're working for the same company. If you change your, if I remember correctly, if you change your job, the new company has to sponsor you again. But I think it's easier. I'm not too sure about that though.
So is the rule like this remain the same since you got into the US or
From what I've heard, I haven't seen it directly yet, but what I've heard so far, like back then, the work visa quota was a lot higher,
yeah,
especially in the early like 2000s, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
But lately, they've been just decreasing the numbers. I
Mhm.
think like it's a bit easier if you have like a master's or a PhD or something,
Yeah.
because you have certain quotas that are only
Mhm.
allotted for those people. I mean, like U.S.
Mhm.
colleges, they depend on internal students. I don't feel like the same incentives are applied into like the workforce.
Plan like 1 year from now.
Um, I'll be moving to Indonesia shortly, like early next year. So I'll be either looking to try to get to telecommunications, or I might try a different field and see what I like more.
Would you like extend or taking further studies in US or
Um, right now, I don't have any plan to continue into like a higher education.
your case, like just a simulation. Okay, let's say if you take a master that you said can get more chance, right? How does it work?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, yeah. If you take a master, you at least get another year of work permit at the end of your degree. And I think if you could find a company that want to sponsor you, you have a bit better chance of getting a work visa.
I know you're really familiar with the telecommunication industry, right? if you see like your career, because you have two choices, like Indonesia or US, right? Which direction are you want to explore more in terms of your career?
Right now, quite a lot of choices of continuing my working experience in the US. My work permit is about to expire.
Yeah,
So like a year from now, I will be mostly looking into like exploring a new career in Indonesia.
but I'm sure you're gonna be fine because you have like the Western like mindset and culture. I think it's gonna be your plus point to your employer too. If you have a chance to give the audience like future international students or like future working in US, what would you say based on this
Uh,
situation, Corona and the politics?
I would say just keep an open mind. That will be a very good idea.
Mhm.
Even though, like, let's say you come in from like a different culture,
Yeah,
just be open to like, the new culture. New doesn't always mean bad, even
yeah,
if it doesn't align with yours. I would say as long as you're not harming everybody, just
yeah.
keep living your life. And if somebody else want to do something and it doesn't concern you, just let them be.
Mhm.
Other than that, for education wise, I'll just say um, prepare yourself because if you don't have any families or relatives here in the US or anywhere else that's outside of Indonesia, you probably don't have anybody you could rely on.
Mhm.
You'll have to start learning to rely on yourself on how to take care of the documents, on whatever you need to do to get you to the next step in life.
Yeah.
Let's say, yeah, just get prepared.
Mhm. Anything else?
Other than that, if you're Indonesians, if you have a career opportunity that you feel might align with mine,
Mhm.
feel free to reach out.
Yeah, exactly.
And thanks.
Summarize the our podcast point. I think like I learned like a couple of things. So I think the first one, like you have to be adventurous to explore to the new culture, and then the second one is always be open-minded. And then as long as you're open-minded, open communication, then the people or the culture that you are in the destination, let's say in US, they will eventually open up to you, right? And then
Yeah,
yeah, at the end, it will open up with joining the community. And then I think the most important thing is like you feel belong to the community.
yeah, I would say so. As
Mhm.
long as you're
Yeah.
welcome into new cultures, I feel like you'll succeed here.
And just to clarify one thing, like studying abroad in US doesn't warranty you, but it might open you to the more door that you never imagined. And then yeah, always keep exploring because life is really dynamic, I'll say.
Oh yeah, as long as you keep an open mind, you'll find new approaches in life. You'll always learn from somebody else. So
Exactly.
keep learning,
Mhm.
and it will all be good.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, Jyoti, for fulfilling this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and then to the
I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you so much again. I really appreciate it because like I know like Jyoti just get off from long day of work. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Oh, yeah. Bye.